And insurance paid for everything, which was a good thing. But so.
Oh, cool.
Now, welcome to Discover Las Vegas. We have not been here in a while. I'm so excited for this episode. I am one of your hosts, Priscilla Scott, Recreation Coordinator with the City of Las Vegas. We have some exciting new people with us today. But before that, we have Miss
Jasmine, Recreation Leader.
My name is Juan Lopez. I am acting recreation leader.
Welcome. This is Juan's very first ever podcast episode.
Yes, I am. I'm a little nervous.
Have you ever done a podcast anywhere else?
No, but not exactly a podcast, but I did a little interview in a radio station up on it's one on Washington and I think it's right under the freeway, the 15.
Is it 88.5?
Yes.
I don't know what that is.
Power 88?
Power 88.5, yeah. That was cool.
I don't listen to the radio.
Me neither.
Was
but I do know the radio station.
2010, 2011.
Okay. So this is super exciting. Obviously, we've had some changes on our team, and which happens in local government. But today, I want us to get to know Juan because so I've known Juan for years. You've worked for our department for years, so have I. But we've never worked together. And we've only met in passing. And then in the last few weeks that you have been here, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's got so many hidden talents. So before
I don't like to tell people about that. Now I'm here and I feel at home, so I'm comfortable saying all this stuff.
Yeah. And I can't believe you have stage fright.
Oh, yeah, I do. I do.
So tell us, who are you?
I'm Juan Lopez, acting recreator. Well, I am from a Mexican family, born and raised in California. Not like LA, San Diego, all that. Very close to San Diego, but it's more east of it, right between San Diego and Yuma, Arizona, and it's right by the border. So growing up, it was a daily thing, kind of crossing the border back and forth, medication, doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, that kind of stuff. So I grew up, it was normal for everybody there to speak English and Spanish and alternate back and forth instantly. So here it's an asset to be able to speak both languages. Over there it's normal, Mm-hmm. So I grew up really enjoying my dad was very not musically inclined, he didn't play instruments or anything, but he was constantly listening to music. So he taught me a lot of classic rock and oldies, that kind of stuff. And from him, I learned how to make my own mixtapes and create playlists, stuff like that. So that's where I got kind of the love for music and artists and that kind of stuff. So once I got together with some friends and we all got guitars and started kind of getting into it, and then we wanted to form bands, and so that was when I was 14. When I was 13, I started guitar lessons, and little by little, we all learned. We formed bands. We started playing backyard shows, and I just liked that feeling of entertaining people, and just because it's a small town, so there's not a lot of things to do. So when we announced the show and flyers, the whole school and everybody went to these backyard shows, and it was a cool thing, and I just wanted to keep on doing it. So when I moved here, that was the first thing I did, look for musicians, look for bands to join in, kind of stuff like that. So that's my origin story.
Okay.
That's personal, but not city-wise, but yeah.
So you're in a band now?
Yes, I am.
Really?
Yes.
What?
I thought you knew this.
No.
Nah, so when I back in 2010, I think I joined. It was actually a Hawaiian reggae band. It's called Haliamano. Shout out Ryan is. So I kind of I played there with them for 10, 11 years. We went we played in Florida, we played Michigan, we played Texas, Arizona. We went to Hawaii. We played 6 shows, 3 different islands. So that was one of the best experiences.
Wow.
A lot of like Hawaiian festivals around town, Pure Aloha, that kind of stuff. But then I decided, like to do my own thing. Once COVID hit, I just created my own project, and I've been playing with them. Actually, we started that in 2015, but then after when COVID started, that's when I decided to just focus on my own project because that was like, that's where I could be more creative and whatnot and let my originality stand out. And so that's what I've been doing ever since.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Other than the guitar, do you play any other instruments?
It's kind of like a jack of all trades, master of none. So just a little bit of keyboards, mainly guitar and bass. I do know most, but a little bit of keyboard, a little bit of percussion, little bit of drums. But I'm one of those people that I can play music, but I'm not very good at dancing. So it's been an experience. Yeah. I talked to Mag, our DJ here. We kind of like talk about like my DJing experience, which is not very much, but I know just enough that we can have full conversations about that. So yeah.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that further solidifies my talent management perspective because everybody here has a talent, and my only talent, which is people management. So I am talent management, and Juan has brought his talent here.
Yeah.
What has been, Jasmine, what has been like your biggest like aha moment? Like, oh, I didn't know that Juan could do XYZ.
Well, right now that he's in a band.
I just
Also, I think that day where our guitarist was out and we're like, oh, Juan could just do it. And I was like, oh, Juan could play guitar. Okay.
was like, who?
I don't know. I feel like every week that he's been here, there's been like some new talent that I'm like, okay.
Yes. So I said this during one of earlier episodes from the summer series. Like, our studio just got a makeover, and Juan and I had gone to tour a different podcast studio to help out a coworker at a different facility that's trying to get their studio redone. And while we were there, we were having like this whole conversation about like the systems that we run and how we're set up. And through that conversation is when I realized like how much he knew about what was in here. And then through that, that's how we came up with like the makeover of the studio and moving all the things around that we've moved in here. So I was like, oh, okay.
It's because like when like just by being a musician and that kind of stuff, you have to do things outside of just the music, like marketing and promoting, that kind of stuff. So I had to kind of learn myself how to do like streaming, video editing, photography, just a little bit of everything, even like event promoting, designing flyers, that kind of stuff, printing my own merch. So that's why I know a little bit of everything, but it all started with the music. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was your initial reaction when our management team made you aware that you were being given the opportunity to join the Becker team?
I remember that day.
Oh, yeah. I came here. I was like, I've never been there. I know, that it's different than all the other recreation centers. But I want to go there and kind of see what the building looks like inside and what the people that work there, what's kind of like the vibe that they got going on. And I came here. You weren't here, but Jasmine was here and kind of mentioned it to her. And I told her, would you be willing to train me if I move over here?
He was like, so if I work here, would you be the one training me? And I was like, yes.
Yeah. And yeah, she's been teaching me a lot. I've learned so much since I've been here. Like, I knew nothing about robotics or Minecraft, and that kind of thing. And like now I'm getting really like into the robotics thing. Like it's pretty cool. Yeah. Like,
That's our most popular class.
Yeah.
Like everybody,
Yeah.
I think that's in the beginning when we were putting everything together, we were kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what would stick.
yeah.
And I mean, we knew what our line of business was, which is technology and bridging the gap with technology and traditional recreation. But we didn't know, like, okay, what's our niche, right? And what's going to be successful? What does the community want to see? And robotics, we had to add like so many extra robotics classes and stuff because that's been what people enjoy the most. So that's been pretty cool.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just realized I never answered your actual question, but yeah. So I didn't know what to think when they first told me about it. So when I came here and I saw everything, I was like, oh yeah, this is for me. Like I saw the studio, like the DJ setup, the podcast. I'm like, that's my favorite room over there, the control room. And I was like, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be after everything I've been through. The other rec centers, like I love working on them and everything, but I kind of feel a little bit of kind of like on the outside because I like playing sports, but I don't follow them on TV, that kind of thing. So I'm kind of out of the loop a little bit. But when I was here, I was like, oh yeah, like all of the things that I've learned throughout the years, like this is the best spot for me to still work for the city and be able to be creative and just put all my knowledge out there. I get to teach people. I get to learn. Like, so for me, it's the perfect spot right now.
You know, that reaction is probably so similar to the reaction that a lot of our like customers, parents, kids have as well. Because what I have noticed is when a family finds us,
They're here all the time.
Yep.
All the time.
and it's so different than anything else. So I just always think about like, you know, the people that kind of fall through the cracks because they don't necessarily fit a traditional mold, but like now this gives them something. Like there's so much flexibility in everything that we do that even if you're not tech savvy like me, you can still find your way at Becker. Like, that's pretty cool. Jasmine, what was your reaction? And I mean, you had a little bit of a different journey because you were hired specifically for Becker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But was it just another job? Were you excited? Like, what was your...
No, I was super excited. I think I've talked about how I've opened centers in the past. And so like a fancy government job seemed really, like I would be like an official adult now.
Fancy.
Yeah. So I think for the job itself, I was really excited. I mean, even today, I still tell people like this is a dream job. I come to work and I get to do like so much fun stuff. I'm not just like sitting in front of a computer doing the exact same thing every single day. So I feel like it's really fun. And then when Juan came, I was like, okay, like I've never really met him. I've never really seen him. Like I don't really know what he does. And then the week that you started, I think I was like out sick or something. And so I was asking everyone like, what's the vibe? Like, is he cool? What's going on?
We're big on vibes here.
Yeah. But I feel like since then, you've been like a puzzle piece that just fits like perfectly.
Thank you. I feel
Actually, a lot of our staff has said that because, you know, when Phil moved to Stupac, it was hard on our team because he moved because of a department need for his talents over at Stupac. And everybody here was like, well, no, he's part of our team. Like, he can't go. And so then when they heard that Juan was coming, they were like, oh, well, he can't replace Philip.
Yeah.
And they were like, we're not going to like him. And everybody is like, oh, we really like him.
That makes me feel good. I relate to a lot of what Jasmine said because I go home too and I'm like, this is my dream job. Like, I get to be creative every single day. Like, I come here and time just passes by. Like, next thing I know, it's already time to go home, and I'm like, I'm not ready.
There's
But
there's projects that you haven't finished.
yes, and it's just being able to be creative every day. It's just like really stimulates my brain, and just I don't know, it just motivates me to keep going. But also the vibe in this place, like you said, it's about the vibe here, and I feel like I relate to everybody that works here in one way or another. Like we're all kind of like creatives. We're all kind of motivated to do the things we do in here, uh, and everybody's willing to teach and everybody's willing to learn. And I don't know. I feel like I was telling KP, like I feel like I can just be myself, and everybody here is themselves, and we just vibe naturally, you know.
So when we did our hiring, and we've talked about it and we've done some webinars and stuff, so I won't go too far into detail, but you weren't with us at the time, Juan. But when we did our hiring, the first few rounds of hiring, we had people who were incredibly talented, but they just didn't fit well, whether it was with our team or with the community. We really struggled in the beginning finding the right staff. And then we switched to like behavior-based interviews instead of like traditional interviews where you're sitting across from a panel. And the main thing that we were focused on was like personalities and characteristics and people that had an ability to connect with the community, to connect with us. Like we were very, very, very selective on who we brought into our space. And some of that came through selfishly because when we were under construction, Jasmine, Phillip, and I shared a 10 by 10 office, and we shared computers and we got along really well, and there wasn't like a whole lot of formality. And when we were hiring, I remember saying to Phillip, I said, I don't want someone to come in here and now I got to tiptoe and watch
ruin the vibe.
what I say because it might offend them. Not to say that we're doing a whole bunch of inappropriate things and or anything like that, but someone who can pick up on like our sense of humor. I am a very black and white person. So for the most part over the years, I've learned to adapt my management style depending on the person that I'm supervising. And that's been because I am so rigid. That has been something that management team has worked with me on, that I've actively worked on, is to allow people to be who they are. And I kind of felt, but when work has to be done, like that black and white switch just switches and it's like, no, this is what we're going to do and we're going to do it now. And I needed a team that's going to be able to go from like everyone's cool and whatever. Okay, we got to get work done. Like, let's move, let's go. I don't repeat myself very well. And so I told Phil at the time, because he and I, we tend to overpower Jasmine sometimes in our conversations. And I was like, I don't want anyone that I got to tiptoe around. If I have to tiptoe, like it's just going to be bad. And I don't want to have to say like, okay, I've asked you 3 times. Are we going to do this now? Because I don't like, that's just not my personality. And so, and then with Jasmine, one of the things, and you have gotten so much better about it, but Jasmine, she won't ask for help. She'll just go and do it.
It doesn't even cross my mind.
And so she'll end up doing a whole bunch of stuff while everyone else is just like kicking it. And I'm like, you see her. Don't act like you don't see her and like she doesn't need help. Like, what are you here for? And so we were very particular about finding people who know when to jump in, know when to step back. Again, technology is not my background, so I rely heavily on people doing what they do well, and I get out of the way. Like, you do you. If you need me, I'm right here. If you need to cross red tape, if you need to know the policy, if you need to understand the proper process, like, I'm right here. I'll walk you through it all. But you know, I'm not going to tell you what camera angle. I'm not going to tell you like, you know, plug this in here or unplug that there. Like that's not it. So for us, the vibe was definitely like our number one priority. And we have such a unique community. We literally have every type of demographic you can imagine coming into the building on a daily basis. So it has to be someone who can embrace that.
Yeah.
Just be like adaptable and like flexible. Yeah.
Yeah. When they first told me about, coming over to Becker, they were telling me, "Oh, you're gonna work under Priscilla. Oh man, she's very strict. She's very like, And I was like, "Ooh," I was kind of worried, But now coming here, like, she's pretty cool, man. She understands me. I understand her. We relate so much, and it's like, and that's what I like to like about the colors thing because we are able to understand each other. So me being an orange, I have all these crazy ideas, but then sometimes I need somebody to kind of like pull me back in and kind of give me those deadlines. And so that's where Priscilla comes in and kind of keeps me on the right path. And then Jasmine being a green, like when my ideas get a little too like out there, she kind of pulls me back in and be like, okay, this may be possible, but no, this is not possible, that kind of thing. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool.
Another thing too, like I've worked in different communities. So I worked on the east side. I worked over here on the Marabelli side. So this whole area here. So I kind of like relate to the kids that come in here, where other people they've never lived in those types of communities, so they don't know how to approach them or how to like kind of get the best out of them or make them feel comfortable being in here. And for us, like, everybody here is kind of like very like welcoming to them and kind of know it, but don't let them get out of line. But at the same time, kind of like know how to talk to them and work with them. And yeah, so
that mentorship is the biggest component here. And I know that our executive leadership and our electeds, when this building was designed and when we were opening, like that was a key component and a key target was to provide mentorship to the youth in the community, specifically here surrounding the facility. And that's been our largest program. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. There's days where we might have 12 kids, and then there's other days where there's 75, and you're like, in a building this size, you're like, the walls are closing in on me. What is happening right now?
yeah.
And but treating them with respect is like so important, and the fact that you can relate to them is a huge component to it. I think that our team in general, for everybody that's on our team, you can find one of you in the kids that are coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so every kid that walks in is going to find someone where they're like, okay, I fit here. Like we have a super diverse staff.
Yeah. I think that's probably one of my favorite things is just how different everyone is, but similar in the same way.
Yeah. So like, Priscilla, if this was a movie, Priscilla would be like the director, the executive producer. She puts everybody's like talents. She knows where to place them and whatnot. And I think that kind of when you do that with those kids, like they you put their talents in the right spots, and they feel like they get to know what their value is, what they bring into the
Like they
the
feel
project.
empowered.
They feel empowered, correct. So to me, that's the way that I like to, like with my band, I know same thing as with the vibe. I don't care how good you play, but it's how well you vibe with us, how much you're willing to be a part of it. And that's what I think with the kids works, like you empower them to contribute, make the center a part of, or make you be, or make them feel like they're an important part of the center and it's theirs, and to take care of it, and it just kind of like it spreads, Yeah.
So, looking ahead to some of the projects that we have coming up, is there one that either one of you are most excited for?
Program like what? Like for the mentorship or
Anything that we have coming up?
um
I would say the thing that I've been most excited for is probably the 3D print camp, which is now. um, Other than that,
I was excited for the tech exploration lab, and I had a whole thing planned and everything. But I couldn't be here that week, so it really like pained me not to be able to be here. Um, but hopefully next year I'm
So
able.
that was my
I don't know.
favorite camp that we've done.
Yeah.
So last year when we had camp, we had only been open for 2 months. So not a lot of people knew about us. We didn't know with the size of our building and our structure and our business model kind of what it would look like in comparison to, like, I'm coming from larger centers. So didn't know what to expect. And last summer was successful, but we were just out of the gate, right? And this summer to see our camps full and all of us have fallen into our roles and we know what works and what doesn't work. And even for that camp, because you did have like such a beautiful plan and a schedule for us, and to see the kids move through 3 days worth of content in like 2 hours, I was like, wow, like this is really amazing. And then we had to pivot. But the coolest part about that is that our staff they're like, but Juan put on the schedule. I was like, forget what Juan put on the schedule. I was like, where do we need to go from here?
Yeah.
And then everybody kind of was like, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do that. And then everybody just kind of jumped in. And that camp evolved so much more than what we envisioned. And a little bit of background too is that was Philip's vision, because we plan our camps so far in advance. And then when he went over to Stupac, it fell on Jasmine's lap, and she's like, okay, but Jasmine just does. So
had
she's
no
like,
idea.
okay.
I was Googling everything.
Juan
I was
calls
like,
in.
I am not a production person. I need activities.
Yeah.
And then Juan is like, oh, well, I play the guitar and I do all this. And I was like, thank you.
Yeah.
And then it just like, I don't know that without all of the people that worked on that, like with the direction that Juan gave us, like all of that, the initial vision that Philip had, like all those things put together is what made it what it was.
It's the team effort, because I can put the idea out there, but it's just in my head and I kind of have a picture of how it's supposed to go. But even if I was there, I wouldn't have known. I never had the idea of making it a challenge, and I wouldn't have known that that was going to be what actually sparked their creativity, their willingness to be a part of it, and you guys introduced that idea of making it a challenge, and that ultimately is what made that week successful. When we rolled that into the all STEAM camp, and then the kids had a lot of fun of it with their media passes and everything. So that was a great, like, just combination of everybody's ideas and put into a plan. Like, that was pretty cool. Teamwork.
And how it all grows, like, because if I had sat down to plan it out and I knew everything that was supposed to be included, it wouldn't have been what it was.
Yeah. If I had tried planning it, it would not have been that fun.
But everybody was just like, oh, okay, you want to do that? Like, okay. Oh, okay. Because initially, for everyone who's watching, we had like 3 days planned of different components that the kids would learn. So they would learn cameras for a day, and they would learn angles and photography, and then the videography. And the next day we would move into sound design. And then the following day they would move into instruments and music and overlays. Well, all of that was like 2 hours, not 3 days. And so by lunch on day one, we were like, okay, so these kids are super smart. They're catching on like this. Where do we go from here?
Yeah.
And yeah, I say all the time I'm talent management because in that moment, everybody was like just throwing stuff out there and we're like, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Yeah.
So it does. It is definitely a team effort. Like I tell everybody, even though in our city structure, you know, we are the full-time team here, our part-time team operates like a full-time team. Like their level of responsibility, their talent, like the way that we work, like the project management side, the responsibility that they carry, like they know deadlines. You know, it's not just like a job where they just come in and hang out and then leave and go home. It really is a group effort with everything that we do.
Yeah, I've worked at a lot of rec centers, and this is the first time where I see the hourly employees actually like just work very hard and be able to like adapt to every different thing, teach any class, like just get to be creative and apply all their knowledge to everything that they do, and like they pretty much like run the whole operation here, you know. But man, and you just keep discovering things about the you know, the employees, and like if I would have gone to know if KP was here for that tech exploration lab, it would have like improved the quality. If I would have known that Boog was good at like content creation and that kind of stuff, it would have definitely helped out, like improve the quality. So now that we know, we can only go up from here. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, we'll push some of the videos out so that, you know, the general public can see what some of the kids created. But to see it evolve, to see, like, my son was in the camp and he's only 7. And to see the quality of some of his videos, I would have never, ever expected my 7-year-old to like do a video like that with his and like actually edit it and do like his voiceover. Like they learned some really, really cool stuff that, and even myself that week, I was like, okay, I can do that. Okay. And so every experience that we get, like I do feel like I am becoming a lot more tech savvy. Like I know the cords and I know the cables and I know the equipment and I can plug things in, and some things I can troubleshoot. I can change resolution.
I remember one day you came up to me and you were like, "You would be so proud. I started my first 3D print."
I hear that. I hear that almost every other week. She says, "You'll be so proud of me."
I did, because so one day, one of our staff members, Keena, was teaching a 3D print class, and she could not get it to connect to one of the printers. And she had tried everything, and I'm channeling my inner Jasmine, and I'm like, I am not calling Jasmine on her day off. I can do this. And I was like, Jasmine showed me how to use all this. This is not my primary function, but I can do this. So I go in there and I'm like, okay, this is how we're going to do it and whatever. And then I fixed it and I was so excited. I came in and I was like, Jasmine, I did my 3D print all by myself. I fixed the issue. Class went on without a hit, and it was only that one printer. And I was just like, yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
Lean, mean printing machine.
Yep.
First, man, your son Connor, I didn't know he's a star in the making. When I saw him, like when I heard his voiceover video for the Minecraft, I was like, this kid is entertaining. And I saw him over here, you know, like in the podcast, just being natural. I was like, that's pretty cool. So I don't know if you're gonna edit the beginning of this podcast, but if you heard me like, that was a reference to Connor.
I think we all have Connor references for in here now.
Yeah.
Because and you know what's funny? He was talking to his dad, and he, you know, because he did the tech lab camp, and he was telling his dad like all the things he learned, and his dad was like, oh, what's your favorite part? And he's like, doing the sound and the cameras. Like he likes the behind the scenes stuff, but he has so much personality. And so his dad's like, you know, Connor, you could like have your own show. And he's like, no, I want to do the cameras and the microphones. Like that is what he loved to do the most. But you're right. He has like so much personality, and he does violate some of Bree's studio rules. Like, don't touch the microphone once it's set.
But that's
Leave your chair where it is once it's set.
that's the when it comes to like figuring out like the programming and stuff like that, it's the bringing it all together. For example, like the content creation class, there's some kids that might be more interested in creating the content and like the actual what it's on camera, but there's other kids that will be more interested in behind the camera, just like Connor and stuff. But like what you said about Connor, like just like being really into the whole thing, like that's the goal for the programming is like kind of don't not making it too difficult, but making it kind of like interesting and to
Like challenging and engaging.
Correct, so that they want to keep coming back to learn more and more, and just so that they can feel like they're accomplishing, they're learning, and it's not like they're being forced, you know. So just that's the goal. So that I'm glad that Connor liked that. I did ask him that week. I did come on that Friday. I asked him what was better, last week or this week. Oh, I had more fun this week. I was like,
Oh yeah, that was his favorite camp. That's been his favorite camp, and you know I let Connor kind of float through different city camps. I just think it's so cool, like what all of our facilities put together, and we have our city family, and so many people that have watched him grow, that have watched me grow, that are now watching him grow. So I spread the wealth. And Connor does visit multiple sites throughout the summer, but that camp in particular has been his favorite one.
it was crazy from what I hear that whole week. But out of the 3 camps right now, this one going on, the 3D print, these kids are like, first of all, they're very well behaved.
Oh yeah.
So far, they've been very
Extremely
well behaved. It's just like chill, but they're just like really smart. They're just like into what they're doing, and they're just like, I don't know how much like teaching you have to do, but they just look like they know exactly what they're doing. Like
Really did not have to do it. Like, so I had the first half of the first day of camp just being like the introduction of like, how do you move a 3D model? Like, how do you design stuff? They didn't even need that. I just totally skipped it because I gave them the project and they just went and they were like, okay, can I print this? And I was like, wait, I didn't even start mine. What do you?
yeah, they're just good at following direction, I guess. But
And they're coming up with their own ideas. It's been really cool.
It's awesome.
So it's funny because at first I was like, I don't know, Jasmine.
You did not want me to do a teen camp.
I did not for 3D print. I was like, are you sure? And I kept trying to like ask questions that would make her think it through and decide for herself that she didn't want to do it. And I was like, are you sure about that, Jasmine? Are you sure? I kept asking like in the same thing over and over in a different way. And she was like, nope, this is what I want to do. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, so far successful, and it's packed.
It has been.
Yeah.
Not only is it packed, but it's just like chill. They're not kids running around everywhere. They're just like
Yeah.
great.
So every camp has had their own vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when we did Tech Lab, they were like, bing, 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 bing. Like
Yep.
there was so much personality. 3D print camp, they're all having fun, but you're right. They're all just like,
All super mellow. They come in. They've already formed their little friend group. So like they hang out in the morning. They hang out at night. They hang out at lunch. So yeah.
and then when we did the esports camp, like those kids were all about like play.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so every camp that we have done has had a completely different vibe.
Yeah. Even though some of the same kids have been in some of the same camps, it's still like completely different. So
Yeah.
that's been really fun.
The first week, every lunchtime we're outside playing games and doing all kinds of stuff. Second week I wasn't here, but this one, when I say chill, it's not like they're bored. They're really into it.
They're so into
They're
it.
just like mellow and
Uh-huh.
calm. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I think that's pretty cool too. In the beginning, so I didn't even know this building was under construction. So our old project manager was a good friend of mine, and he, at the time, I was at Mirabelli, and we were in the process of turning our old game room into an esports space. And so when this building was being designed, he would ask me questions, but I didn't know that it had anything to do with this construction project. And then he retired. He worked his 30 years and said goodbye. And COVID hit. There were so many different transitions. So it's like out of sight, out of mind. Didn't know it existed, like nothing. And so when our director at the time, Steve Ford, was like, "Oh, you're going to take over the tech center," I was like, we don't have one. And that's not really recreation, is what I was thinking. And he was like so excited when he told me about this and like just talking it up. And I won't go into detail with everything that I said, but I was definitely displeased with the decision. And shout out to Steve for believing in me, because I was like, I am not the one for this. And he's like, no, you are, you are. And I was like, listen, you're trying to paint a picture that doesn't exist. But like actually being here, and I think this goes for everybody, and we do have some staff that has migrated from other facilities as well. But once you're actually here and you experience what goes on here, you're like, oh my gosh, this is like the best center I've ever been to. Like, I love it here. Our business model is so different from traditional recreation, but it's still recreation.
Yeah.
And I didn't see that in the beginning. So that has been really eye-opening for me. It's just a different way of recreating.
Correct.
And it's really, really cool.
Yeah.
But it is still recreation. Like
It's like the same concept involved, but different activities kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And everybody who, they don't understand what we do. And then when they come, they're like,
oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
The awareness. So we've evolved quite a bit. And Juan, I mean, I don't know if you can answer this question if you've been here long enough, but you might be able to. But Jasmine, what is something that we've done that has evolved so differently than where we started?
Ooh. I would say like the biggest thing, like size-wise, would be mentorship, because that we just kind of started and didn't really know what we were doing. But now we have like a structure and like returning kids and like a pretty good flow. Man, I don't know. I feel like everything that we've done has just been like constantly evolving and getting better. So,
Well, I've only been here for about a month and a few weeks maybe, but I have not seen like per se I have not seen it myself, like the evolution of it, but I hear everything that how it used to be last year and how much better it is now. So, you know, like from what you guys have told me and what everybody's stories are, like it's progressing way better, and that's how it's gonna keep going. Just like technology, it just keeps evolving, you know.
yeah.
That
I think maybe the membership, actually. I feel like our pricing structure, I really like how that's changed.
I love that.
Yeah.
And initially when we launched our membership pricing, it was supposed to just be like a trial, and it was a promotion tied to our first birthday when we turned 1. And we're supposed to only do it for a short period of time and then go back to our traditional pricing. But it has been so successful, and it works so much better for families that want to try out a few different things, that for me, it just makes sense to keep it that way. And it has evolved significantly from what it is, and from traditional facilities, because most facilities, each class has a fee base, and then we're kind of gone away from that, and now with a membership, they can access all of our classes for one monthly price, and so that makes things a little bit smoother for families.
That's a great that whole pass thing. Like, you get to do all these classes with just a monthly fee. That's like a good deal for anyone, really, but mostly for like the people that don't really have like the resources to access this level of classes, because like it gets very expensive in like these places that are kind of like private or dedicated for it. And this is like a good intro to that, because the parents, they don't want to, if the kid's not really into it, they don't want to spend all that money, but so this is like a good introductory place. And then from here, if they feel like they can that they like it and they want to invest more money into it, then they can make a better decision for that. But yeah, I have seen what I have seen in evolution here is this particular area with the podcasting, where we got the video switcher now, the more being able to fix the camera issues with the glitches and all that stuff. My goal while I'm here, I don't know, 3 months, maybe to 6 months, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But my goal is to like kind of like evolve the guitar lessons, music production lessons, the content creation, kind of put a little bit of structure into it, to like, so to have the kids just want to learn more, evolve into like, just get them into the roles that they feel that they should be in life. The things that I'd never had growing up. There was nothing like this back home, so I feel like I could have been a lot more I could have been closer to my goals if I would have had something like this growing up, and that's what I want to provide for them.
Yeah, I would agree that the podcast, not just the studio, but the podcast as a whole, has evolved dramatically because in the beginning, I was like, a podcast studio, and in my mind, I was thinking, we have a whole communications department. Like, how does this work? And what can we do? What can't we do? Like, and then I thought, they're never going to give us access. Like, it's going to be like impossible to actually do what it was designed to do. Who thought of this, right? And then once we started kind of working on it, and with Philip, Jasmine, and I, we always thought about like the big picture, right? Like, what could the podcast, what kind of awareness could it bring to the department and all the great things that we do? And our communications team was not a barrier. Like, they were so helpful. They have been so vital to our success. Anytime we need help with anything, whether it's training, whether it's advice on equipment, or helping us run ads, whatever we have needed, like, they have been in our corner. And that has been really cool. The production technicians throughout our department have helped with like equipment, and even redistributing the way that we're doing things, the content. Now we actually have been able to put kids in the beginning, I was like, absolutely not. I don't want the kids in the studio. I don't want the kids on the equipment. Like, I remember you and Phil would bring the mentorship kids in here, and I'm like, don't put them on camera. Don't do this. Don't, like, it was like, I was worried about what could happen. And now I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do a teaching podcast. We have to do this. We have to do that. The kids are great. They can do the cameras. I'm like, oh, Bree, you're going to teach them how to engineer. And she's like, slow down, cowboy. But I think this has evolved because I have seen like how it's grown. I've seen the benefits for our customers, for the kids. It's been a really cool experience.
Yeah.
So.
Like I say, you put them in those roles and they feel empowered to do it, and that's how, like they start learning and they don't just mess around all the time, they take it serious and whatnot. But yeah.
So, as we wind down, the question on the table, our last question of the day, what's an area that you would like yourself to grow in?
Music.
Okay, Jasmine.
Easy.
Got it.
Coding.
Coding.
Yeah. Coding. Just since I'm an acting rec leader, I want to learn more about being in that position where I can delegate stuff. Like her, like she's always doing stuff. Like I need to learn how to like delegate and whatnot. Like, because I just been for the longest time working for the city, just being the person that just does
One-man show.
yeah, the one man show, or the just doing everything I can to help everybody. So now I'm in the other position where I have to like ask people to do stuff, and I want to get more comfortable with that.
We
But
can learn delegating together.
yes, yes. But other than that, like just building the curriculums for the classes and guitars, that kind of thing. I'm very interested in that.
Awesome. All right, you guys. Well, welcome, Juan. This is your first of many podcasts to come. I'll put it out there. And you're doing a great job. You and Jasmine make a good team.
Thank you. I appreciate everybody welcoming me in and like making me feel at home.
Right?
Everybody in my house is just sick and tired of me coming home and being like, oh man, I did this, I did that. Or she taught me this, she taught me that. Like, but that's good for me. It makes me feel like